Now, let's go to Canberra now and catch up with the member for Fairfax, the Liberal member for Fairfax in Queensland, Ted O'Brien, a China expert. Good to talk to you again, Ted. I thought it'd be great to get you on the show because we had this speech this week from Anthony Albanese speaking to the mining industry effectively, but he was quite critical of the government about its relationship with China. This is always a touchy area because when you criticise your own government that's having a spat with China, you're of course doing things that Beijing wants you to do. You're actually feeding the Beijing argument.
Chris, this is exactly the problem. We heard a similar thing recently from Penny Wong, and now we're hearing it from Anthony Albanese. So clearly this is a very orchestrated campaign on behalf of the Labor Party. And I'm deeply concerned about it because they are effectively doing the bidding of the Chinese Communist Party. Fair enough industrial relations, fair enough infrastructure. You pick your portfolio where you want to tear into the government when you're in opposition. No problem. But we have a long-standing tradition of bipartisanship on key international areas of strategic importance. You don't get anything more important right now than our relationship with China, the economic coercive measures being experienced by Australian businesses due to China. It is the last time that you should be breaching that bipartisanship. To come out and effectively throw Australia and its government under the bus is to be doing the bidding of the Chinese government. I would like to give Albanese and Penny Wong, the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just them being unconsciously incompetent, ignorantly not knowing that in actual fact they are feeding the very narrative that the Chinese Communist Party wants to feed, and they are pitting Australian business against the Australian government. That's the division China wants to see, and unfortunately Albanese is now feeding it together with Penny Wong.
Well, it's a difficult area. There's not strong language involved here. It's quite nuanced. Let's have a little look at some of what Anthony Albanese had to say.
Australia needs more strategy and less politics when it comes to managing our differences with China. Foreign policy isn't a game. It's not a photo op.
Now, it's pretty gentle criticism, but are you saying effectively Labor can't criticise the government at all over managing the relationship with Beijing?
We're a liberal democracy, Chris. They have every right to criticise as they please, and I have every right to speak to other Australians through people like you to point out the risk that they run in doing so. Albanese made it very clear in his speech that exporters have every reason to be concerned about how the Australian government is running the relationship with China.
Yeah, now China, there are a lot of leading business people who run these arguments, and they obviously have a vested interest in this. I think it's a fascinating area because I think Labor only does political damage to itself. I think the politically smart thing to do is to be in lockstep with the government. If you've got concerns about the policy, raise it with them privately, because you can only cheer up Beijing. You can only give power to their arm, and I don't think the Australian public will like it. You've got to be on Australia's side. So I think it's a political misstep by Labor as much as anything.
Chris, I think you're right. I think the everyday Australian would have accepted even a light touch-up from Albanese to the government if he had then gone on to say that he too is concerned about the actions of Beijing when it comes to our own businesses in Australia. Silence. He said nothing, not one word of even a sympathetic word, trying to express some concern. I mean, basically, he did not take the side of Australia. He did not take the side of Australian businesses. And if he is this much a soft touch in opposition, then God help Australia if he was ever to actually get into government.
Yeah, well, interesting thoughts, Ted. I wanted to ventilate them here because I think this is going to be a big area of focus in the lead up to the next election, and we'll tease those issues out here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Chris.
Ted O'Brien, the member for Fairfax, Liberal member for Fairfax in Queensland. I'm very happy to interview Anthony Albanese or Penny Wong about these issues. I think they need to talk about them. As I say, I think there'll be a lot of teasing out in the lead up to the election of this relationship between Beijing and Canberra and what it means. No doubt it will be an election issue.